So we're going to begin. Welcome to the second candidate forum. There was one held last week. Thank you to the audience that's in attendance, and thank you to the panelists who are running for the board. I was advised prior to last week's session that I sometimes tend to talk too quickly and too softly. So if I back away from the mic, tell me. Do the same thing with the candidates. That you need to hear what they're saying, and sometimes it's easy not to speak directly into the microphone. Hugs don't come cheap, Barbara. This year, there are 3 openings on the board, and we have 6 candidates running. The reason there are 4 candidates going off, but there was a bylaws amendment that passed a year or 2 ago that will, over a period of time, reduce the board from 12 members to 9. So over a period of time, the board will shrink. So this year, only 3 candidates will be elected to the board. Keep in mind the GVR is run by a board of directors who are volunteers. These individuals up here, they are giving their time, they're giving their energy, and they're giving their expertise. They get nothing for it other than your praise. And all too often, that isn't often enough. So keep that in mind. Thank them for running. Thank them when they are on the board. Thank the other board members. It's important that they know that it is important to you that they are willing to serve. GVR also has a number of committees. I'm not going to go through them, but GVR is always looking for individuals who have experience and expertise in various fields based upon their past experience. I think there may be some sign-up things. If there are not, keep your eye out and volunteer for committees. It's a worthwhile experience. I'm going to look away from the mic every once in a while to look at my notes. Most of the election information is on the GVR website, which is gvrc.org. You can vote online. You can go online and see the candidates' bios, their applications. They did an interview with Regina Ford a while back. That is on there. The forum from last week is on there. This forum will also be on there within a day or so. So if you want to go back and fact check anybody, you certainly may do so. If you need assistance in voting at a computer at one of the centers, contact Nancy Moyo. I think her name is on the agenda. If not, contact the GVR administrative offices and they can put you in touch with her. Voting started last week on the 19th and it will continue until March 18th at 4 p.m. The new directors will be announced at 4:30 on March 18th, and in e-blast there will also be a press release that goes out at that time. There is a board meeting tomorrow, the 26th. I believe most of the candidates, if not all of them, will be there, so they will be available to take questions after that meeting. And I believe most of them have committed to sticking around after this meeting in the event that you want to ask them a one-on-one question, if you want to introduce yourself. Take advantage of that. It's important. The annual meeting of the membership is at March 26th at 9 o'clock in this auditorium. I'll remind the candidates and the audience, this is not a debate. It's a forum for them to present their thoughts, their ideas. They're not here to debate each other. They're not here to take pointed questions from you about anything. They're here to answer why they think they are the best qualified to be on the board. The candidates are asked to be courteous, respectful, and there is a clock. Some of the questions, some of the times they have to speak, they have 3 minutes or 2 minutes, depending on the question. You can't see it. There is a clock that they can see, and there is a buzzer that will go off. My name is Tony Zabicki, by the way, in the event you haven't heard me rattle on before. If you have a cell phone and it is not silenced, turn it off now. Most of you are aware there are refreshments over in the dining area. Please take advantage of them. Last week we had quite a few things left. Since we don't have another forum, we can bring those things out. Certainly go there and take advantage of them being available. Your dues paid for that. Oh, okay. The process which we will follow is I will first go by quickly and I will just say the name of the candidate. They will raise their name. That way you can put a name with a face. After that is done, they will each give a 3-minute introduction. It's totally up to them what they want to say or what they don't want to say. After that is done, there's a series of 12 questions which they have seen in advance. Each candidate will answer 2 questions. They do not know which 2 questions they will be asked, but they have seen the questions in advance. After that round of questioning, there will be 1 question asked of each candidate in which they have not seen those questions. There will be closing remarks that will follow that. And then after the closing remarks, actually before the closing remarks, we will take questions from the audience. So with that said, let us begin. Beth Dingman. April Hillard. Dale Howard. Steve Reynolds. Lanny Watkins. Jody Walker. They are seated by virtue of their alphabetical genealogy. There was nothing that went into that sinister or anything other than that their parents gave them those names. Jody, would you give us the pleasure of having your introduction?
Hello, I'm from Iowa, grew up in Davenport, Iowa all my life. I am married, have 1 child. My husband and I came here in 2017, have been snowbirds ever since, mainly because of GVR, like most of us. We came down in 2015 to visit my mom. Sadly, she passed a few months later. So we knew we wanted to come back to GVR. My work history, I did 38 years government contracting with Department of Defense, Department of the Army on Rock Island Arsenal in Illinois. I was the person that obligated the contracts with the contractor. Without my signature, that contract was not valid. We would get contractor proposals in. I did total evaluation, dove into the not financial statements, but the financial sheets, did evaluations. We had cost plus fixed fee. We had to determine the level of pricing would meet the level of service that we asked for them to perform. My contract values went anywhere from 10 million up to 250 million because we had multi-year contracts, 5 years max. We did contract modifications. Again, we had to do forensic accounting to determine, because we had to figure out if the price that this one contractor, sole contractor price, was fair and reasonable. So we had to evaluate their level of pricing and make a memo for higher people to sign and say, yes, we go through legal, we go through pricing and supervisory levels, just depending on what level that contract value was, that modification value was. So getting into contracts as well as contract closeouts, I approved invoices based on their service, their progress. If it was a progress payment, I had to look at what they were billing and determine if they met that percentage of work completed before I approved that invoice to be paid. So my total in-depth of experience is huge. I loved the job that I did. And it was very rewarding. I got to attend meetings, or not got to attend, was pulled into meetings to provide status updates, anywhere from majors up to lieutenant colonel, colonels, 1 and 2-star generals, as well as the folks that needed this level of services. So my range of briefing is all the way from the common soldier up to the 1 and 2-star general. And other than that, I love to travel. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jody. Steve Reynolds, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Steve Reynolds. My wife, Janet, and I have lived in Green Valley with our dog Bella for since 2020. We have 1 son, he's 32. My work experience includes a 33-year career in corporate accounting, tax, and business, which included management positions in tax compliance. We chose to live in Green Valley because of GVR. It's been a great place for us to retire and recreate for the last 5 years. I've enjoyed volunteering in leadership positions in multiple GVR clubs, as well as HOAs in Colorado and Green Valley. I've been a member of GVR's Fiscal Affairs Committee for the last 4 years, where I've been fortunate to have developed good relationships with Scott Summers, the CEO, David Webster, the CFO, and the Fiscal Affairs Committee chairs Donna Kuhn, Carol Carruthers, Jim Carden, and Nellie Johnson. Why am I running as a candidate for GVR's board of directors? First of all, it's my way of giving back to our community and GVR. Second, with my knowledge of financial of GVR's finances, I will be an independent voice who can make a difference on the board to benefit the majority of GVR's membership. Third, I have the experience and know-how to work on GVR's new 5-year strategic plan starting next year. This will be GVR's roadmap to lead the membership and organization into the 2030s, which I do want to be a part of. I'll strive to work on creating new revenue streams, specifically researching a new philanthropic gifting program where members contribute to the GVR Foundation from their estates, trusts, IRAs, RMDs, and other. These donations will be directed to a specific GVR capital project or facility. I will also push for an operations audit to help make our organization run more efficiently, improving productivity, saving costs for our members. I will strive to maintain our current dues structure. Thank you.
Thank you. April, speak up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is April Hassan-Hillard, and I'm so pleased to see some of my family, friends, neighbors, and all of these members here this evening. I grew up in Northern California, specifically Dixon, California. I had a dual major at California State University, Sacramento in Recreation and Park Administration and Public Administration. I dedicated my career to healthcare administration, where I managed large medical groups and ambulatory surgery centers. I moved to Green Valley for a few reasons. One of them, my brother lives here. He came here before me, and I've been here for about 2 years as a year-round, living here year-round. But one of the biggest factors of why I am here in Green Valley is GVR. I think GVR is a world-class, well-run organization, and I want to be a part of it. I currently serve the GVR board as a committee member on the Planning and Evaluation Committee, as well as the Board Affairs Committee. I was formerly on the Nomination and Elections Committee, but withdrew from that committee once I decided to run for GVR board. I serve the Desert Hills 5 HOA as their board secretary. I am also the chairperson for their architectural committee, and I'll just blurt it out here. I'm the chairperson for their social committee, holiday decoration committee, and I also am the representative to the GVR Council for my HOA. I am privileged to be the president of the Green Valley Community Chorus, 78 members of singing pleasure. We're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year. I would like to take a quick opportunity to thank the Nominations and Elections Committee Chair, Candy English. She's done a great job at getting us prepared. There she is over there, getting us prepared for this. It's been a really wonderful experience to work with all of these people and the Nominations and Elections Committee. I am proud to have this opportunity. I will represent you. I will be your voice, and I am here to ask that you vote for me. April Hillard. Thank you so much.
Thank you, April. Lanny, you're next, and I want to apologize. When I introduced you, I think I introduced you as Lanny Wadkins. I don't think you're that good of a golfer.
I am definitely,
Why that name came to mind, I have no idea. Lanny
Well,
Smith.
Tony, I'm definitely not as good as Lanny Watkins when it comes to golf, nor am I as good looking as Lanny McDonald with the mustache for the Calgary Flames. If any of you are hockey fans, of which being a Canadian, of course I am. Anyway, my name is Lanny Smith, and welcome to all of you for joining us this evening. It's really important to have members come out and join these candidate forums because we're here representing you. And I think you want to make sure that the person or persons that you elect reflect what you're thinking about when it comes to GVR. So a little bit about me. My wife Jane and I discovered Green Valley in 2017. We're from beautiful British Columbia, Canada. We've been snowbirds since that time and absolutely love the place. We're extremely active when it comes to physical perspective. My wife Jane was one of the first female ultra marathoners in North America. And for those of you wondering, what's an ultra marathon? Let me give you two things that she did. One was she ran across Death Valley in the middle of the summer, and it's called Badwater. Average daytime temperature was 130 degrees, and she finished sixth woman overall. And to follow that up, she also ran across the Sahara Desert. So I'm really proud of her. And that's kind of the family we're like. My kids are the same. They're extremely involved. My experience, my work experience is primarily corporate. As my daughters like to say, Dad, you're a true corporate guy. I still dress corporate and I still think corporate, type A personality. But I have always thought about it from the perspective of my customers, my clients, and the last 12 years of my career, I was with one of Canada's largest public sector pensions administrators, and we had to think as members serving members. And that's truly what I'm all about, is members serving members. I was a senior executive with that organization, and for the last 5 years, I was also on its corporate board. So I do have a lot of experience when it comes to board governance. And I do have an awful lot of experience when it comes to financial affairs. GVR, I have been part of the Fiscal Affairs Committee for the last 4 years. I've also been on planning evaluation, and I'm also currently on board affairs. The reason why I did that is because I wanted to learn more about how GVR works, because we truly love this place. And I feel that I'm at the point in time in my experience with GVR that now it's time to give back at a board level. And so I look to all of you, and I hope that you do take the time to consider each one of us that are up here, that you read our bios, you take a look at our interviews, and please vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And your wife is impressive. Really, really impressive. Okay. Beth, tell us about yourself.
Well, first of all, I want to thank all of you for coming. It's great to see you all here, and to thank Candy and the committee for putting together this forum. I know what that's like, as I was the chair of the Nominations and Elections Committee for 2 years previous. I grew up in Massachusetts and went to the University of Chicago, where I majored in sociology. After college, I went into the Peace Corps in the Philippines, which was a wonderful experience. And I have to say, I don't think the Peace Corps gets as much credit as it should. And I think one gets a really wonderful perspective living in another country for some years. I returned to Chicago for grad school, and I headed to California for my first professional job in Stockton. It wasn't the San Francisco that I had envisioned, but anyway, it being California and the early 70s, plans changed. Returning to New England in 1975, I founded a feminist book publishing company. where we, for the next 30 years, published over 100 books. And as a publisher, you get to do lots of great things, like you edit, but you also are sales and your finances and so many other aspects of a business. So that was really interesting, and I enjoyed it a lot. My partner and I came to Green Valley in about 2007, and we've been here ever since, but we returned to Vermont for the summers to be with our kids and grandkids. I've been an active member of a number of clubs over the years and served as a president of a few of them. So right now I am completing my 3-year term as a director. And as a result, I have become even more in awe of the great organization that GVR is. My goal in running for a second term is to continue to be a champion for getting things done and to contribute to the smooth running of GVR. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Dale Howard, guess who's next?
Not least. I'm Dale Howard. I grew up in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and lived there through my freshman year in college, where I was studying at Purdue to become an aeronautical engineer. And Uncle Sam came along and did away with the draft deferment. So guess who got to get a draft notice? So after checking out a number of options, I went into the Air Force, and I spent the next 21 years in the Air Force and Air National Guard in Missouri on active duty. So I want to thank you folks. Every month I get a nice check from you, and I do appreciate that. While I was in the Guard, I managed to obtain my Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with a major in accounting from Columbia College. So I spent 15 of my 21 years in the military working in finance. I then switched over and got into some of the very first PCs that the Air Guard finally got, and also was down in the comm center. So I worked both of those. When I retired, I went to work for the Fox Theater and Metrotix, which is the ticketing system in St. Louis. And then I went to Magellan Health Services and did IT support for one of the largest mental health companies in the United States. I have served as a treasurer of a Lutheran church in Florissant, Missouri, as well as their day school. I have been a board member and president of a 24-unit condo association in Alton, Illinois. My wife and I came to Green Valley about 16 years ago. We rented my cousin's townhouse. We decided this is a place we wanted to retire to. We're on our 3rd place now, which is our forever home. We spend about 7 to 8 months of the year out here and go back for our kids and grandkids during the summer. I absolutely love GVR. I'm thankful for it every day because my wife gets to go up and go swimming and exercise and play pickleball, pop tennis. She does yoga. She does enough things that she occasionally comes home for lunch or to stop by and say hi, but I do appreciate it. I am currently on the fiscal affairs. I've worked with Lanny and Steve this year, which has been a real pleasure. And I'm also on the investment committee. So I've learned all about the finances of Green Valley Rec and have gained a great insight into where we need to head and what we want to try and do in the future. And I hope that, I want to be an independent voice as well as all of these other folks. I'm just one of 23,000. I want to represent everybody as much as we can. We know we can't please everybody all the time, but we want to do as much good as we can for the overall GVR Rec. So thank you.
Thank you. So there you have it. You know everything about them. You can make your votes. But wait, there's more. What we're going to do now is, as I said earlier, the candidates were given information about the next questions. They have seen these questions. They do not know which questions going to be asked them. Each of them will answer 2 questions. At the forum last week, they answered 2 questions. And what we're going to try to do, if my note taking is correct, I will try not to ask them the same question I asked last week. So that'll give them an opportunity to respond to a different question. It'll give you an audience to get a response to a different question and find out a little bit more about them in a more diverse way. So with these questions, they will have 2 minutes to respond. And again, they have seen the questions, so they indeed may have notes and they may have formulated thoughts along these lines. So for the first question, I am going to ask April. How are you, April? Very good, very good. April, as a director of the board, how will you react to and potentially resolve challenges that arise due to different opinions, approaches, and attitudes?
First, I think it's really important that a board member does their homework and understands what the issues at hand are. The GVR administration does a really good job of preparing documentation for the board to study and make sure that if there are controversial issues or challenges that we understand, we being envisioning myself being part of the board, that we understand what those are and have a good in-depth knowledge of what those are. I will participate in the discussion. I think it's really important. There's 11 board members and I know all of them have a thought or have formulated thoughts, but I think it's really important that the board members get involved in the discussion and give their opinions and help figure out where the discussion is going and represent themselves, represent the members that they've discussed the issues with. I think it's important that that different opinions are considered. Empathy is a really important trait for someone who is working on the board or in any work group, to be able to see the issues from your viewpoint and be able to represent that, but also really see it from the other person's perspective and listen. There's one thing for sure that's going to happen on a board, and that is going to be differing opinions. It's just really important that we all represent ourselves professionally and positively and kind of know when it's time to agree to disagree. Thank you.
Thank you. Lanny Smith. This question's for you. As a director, how would you handle competing needs or interests of GBR members and clubs?
You know, that's a great question. Thanks, Tony. We were just talking about this a little bit earlier this evening. One of the things that I've noticed over the last couple of months is in meeting a number of the club presidents in particular, how they are not really aware of the feedback mechanisms that are available to them and to their members. So I think, you know, the first thing we need to do is to make that more broadly known by all of our members, that there is a formal feedback process. For those members who are with the clubs, the club presidents or their secretaries or vice presidents need to share that information more broadly with their members. That way, we as management and as a board can hear, we can hear more of what members are looking for and expecting from their board and expecting from management. So I think just creating a greater awareness of all the feedback mechanisms that are available to members is critical to making sure that we know what the competing needs and interests of all the clubs and what of all the clubs and members, so that we can consider them. Thank you.
Thank you. Jody, this question's for you. What part of GVR's mission is most meaningful to you?
The mission, I really like the recreation and the social activities and enhance the quality of our members. We have a lot of members that eventually start getting older and can't participate. Okay, sorry. Or just that they, okay, you got me screwed up.
Struck a
Aging,
nerve there,
you know,
did ya?
whatever. They're not able to continue with tennis, not able to swim, not able to pickleball, things like that, more active activities. So keeping up with the cards and the more social getting together for people is just so important for their mentality and staying out of depression, just having that social interaction. And I think that is really important that we try and continue to work on for the more aging people. I know in my community alone, we have at least 3 people in their 90s that don't get out as much. You know, are there other ways that we could look at doing that? That's, to me, that keeping up recreation trends is important, because as we're getting people out, we're getting new people in. As the baby boomers come, they want different recreation trims and new activities. So having that as our mission statement is really important.
Thank you. Dale, what does policy governance mean to you?
Nobody wants to answer. All right. Well, if anybody has any experience in government, John Carver wrote the definitive book on policy management, and it's a whole Bible. And we're not going into that whole Bible. We're going to get the condensed version tonight. GVR uses a modified form of policy governance. Ownership. The board exists to act as the informed voice of the members. The board is accountable to the members to ensure that GVR is successful. The authority of the board speaks as one voice. So very simply, we take a vote. If that vote is 6-5 or 11-0, whichever side wins, it's their policy that's been approved. All 11 of us need to support it. There should be no additional conflict or non-support. The board writes policies about its expectations and their intended effects. It clearly defines how the board will function separately, policy versus operations. It provides clarity to the duties and expectations of the CEO. We need to give him the autonomy to complete his assigned duties. And finally, the board must monitor the CEOs and its own performance against the goals that they previously stated to ensure that we've done the job we're supposed to do. And that's it in a nutshell.
Thank you. Beth, what are your thoughts on how the board should handle membership feedback or support the staff in handling membership feedback?
In my experience, most of the membership feedback is of a specific nature, right? For example, the pool doesn't look that clean, or the hot tub isn't working, or why haven't I gotten my dues notice? These are really problems for the staff to handle. And if we hear them, or if somebody brings it to me, we pass it on to the staff. And they also will usually answer us and telling us as board members why something isn't working, or that they're going to look into it right away. For example, the hot tub in Abrego South was not working for quite a long time. And a lot of people were perturbed about this. And I was told by the CEO that parts were on order, but they were taking a long time to get here. And I think if somebody had, somebody takes the time, if you're perturbed about something, just write to the board or write to the staff and they will answer. But my one feeling about all of this was that maybe because it was taking so long, that probably we should have put up a notice or at the hot tub saying that the part was not coming in and we're sorry. And so it wouldn't just look like the staff was ignoring the issue. In my experience, things get followed up on, but again, communication is key. And so if we have problems as members, it's good for us to explain them or write to somebody about them or let somebody know so that they can deal with them.
Thank you. Steve, how will you ensure that members' voices are heard?
This is one of the most important questions that we can answer. Because if we are not listening to our members, right, I don't think we're actually doing our jobs. So this is all about being accessible. It's important for directors to be available to listen and discuss our members' concerns and ideas before and after the board meetings, committee meetings, meet and greets, by emails, text messages, and phone calls. I will be listening and talking with members while attending all GVR activities and events. If I'm elected, I'll be accepting a volunteer leadership role that includes being the voice for GVR's members. Another thought I had regarding how we can be more accessible is maybe having a GVR hotline for our members to call into that is monitored by staff, and then work with a liaison on the board to discuss how to best resolve whether it's a maintenance issue, whether it's a policy issue. Then we can direct it to the appropriate party. So that's kind of a corporate way to resolve an issue. I think one of the things that I see in GVR is that it takes sometimes too long to resolve some of our issues. And these are some easy things, right? Just because there's so many different layers, like all the clubs go through Jody. When there's a question, and then she has to go through her boss and maybe her boss's boss. So hopefully this will be resolved if we have a hotline. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to move on to the second round of questions. Again, the candidates have seen these questions, but they don't know what question is going to be asked of them. And it will not be hopefully a question that was asked of them last week. Lanny, what is your experience in working with budgets and finance, and how do you see that experience benefiting you as a director?
That's a what? Softball question? Oh, boy. Okay. Well, I have a tremendous amount of experience with budgets and finance. 32 years of banking and public sector pension administration. The last 12 years, I was vice president of member and employer experience, as I said, with one of Canada's largest pension administrators. We had a retiree payroll of just over $3 billion per month. And we also were responsible for collecting just over $3 billion per month from employers. Those are employer contributions. Ran a budget of over $20 million. Also in banking, I was vice president for retail banking, credit union, 60 branches, 850 employees, well over $6 billion in assets with a budget of over $150 million. So I'm quite familiar with how to maintain budgets and make sure that we hit our targets. Within GVR, I've had, as I mentioned earlier, 4 years on the Fiscal Affairs Committee, and which gave me a tremendous amount of experience of how does GVR work, and how do we ensure that we maintain our operations budget so that we can maintain our fees at a reasonable level where we're not having to increase our fees beyond what people are expecting. So I think I have an awful lot of experience to bring to the table.
The luck of the draw. That was a random question and it fell in your lap.
Someone's got to get the softball question.
World peace. How do you achieve that?
How do I achieve the softball question?
No, world peace. Okay. Beth, are you capable of negotiating a controversial policy? And if it didn't go your way, how do you manage when talking to members regarding it?
Yeah, it seems to me, having been on the board for the last 3 years, that most of the controversy that has come up with regard to the board issues has to do about spending money. For example, some on the board wanted to spend $150,000 putting up security cameras after there had been that incident where there was a concern over security. Others wanted to spend much less and put up a couple cameras and that was what they want to do. So that was a concern in another case, some wanted to have a coffee shop with an outside vendor and others thought a vending machine would be fine. So these are two issues where in both cases, I was supporting spending a little more money and getting something tangible with that money. And I lost some and I won some in these discussions. And many times we decided not to spend the greater amount of money, and other times we've decided, yeah, let's go for it. For example, the glass hearts, which was a big discussion over the many meetings about whether, the amount of money we were going to spend to make that a world-class, state-of-the-art facility, which we did. And I feel like now there's so many people who get to enjoy it, and more people every day are signing up to do that. So, but those are the issues. You either win or you lose, and if you lose, you just say, okay, and go on to the next one.
Thank you. Jody, what does working as a team member of the GVR board look like to you?
Oh, I am so happy to get this one. I'm not team, no. Working as a team member on this board, you're going to have differences of opinions. You just have to come to the table, listen to everybody. Listen, if somebody feels like they're genuinely heard and there's not arguments, but there's points, pros and cons, eventually people can go, okay, I see that side. And sometimes like April says, you have to learn to agree and disagree. You learn to have trade-offs, and you have to come to the boards prepared. Sometimes if I not able to attend a committee meeting and I know that the board has a subject on that, I'll go back and watch the video. I will get into the paperwork and make sure I'm fully prepared. And I think that's what every member needs to do, is just become fully prepared on the subjects, so we don't have to sit there and get everybody caught up. So that is where I believe that being a board member is doing your part on the upside and the downside, and there's going to be downsides. There's going to be a lot of good things, but the downside is you're not going to agree, and being able to set that aside and not have your feelings hurt and realize you just have to come to an agreement, and you might not win. But being prepared, again, is something I believe that a board member needs to do their part.
Thank you. Steve, do you feel you can be respectful of the opinion of others, even if they differ with you over something you feel very strongly about? How would you handle a defeat by the board of something you felt strongly about?
So first off, I'm a very competitive person, but I do lose, and I would be able to control my emotions. I feel it's natural for directors to have different opinions, approaches, and attitudes, which should generate discussion and help explain the pros and cons of our policy positions. I believe we all grow up learning how to negotiate with our parents, siblings, friends, colleagues, and the people who we interact with in work situations. Negotiating skills involve finding common ground and eventually compromising with the players involved. I've had a lot of experience in my career and working with HOA boards. I look at this as an important part of life. Some of us enjoy negotiating more than others and see the benefits gained from negotiating a complicated policy. I also believe two opposing views will create a better policy. It's a given that not all of one's ideas will move forward. However, the discussion should produce an improved policy in the long run. If it didn't go my way, I would support the board's decision when talking to our members. Thank you.
Thank you. April, still with us?
Still with you.
Okay. Please describe how funds should be allocated for club projects. For example, should it be club size and longevity, estimated cost of the project, amount of financial contribution promised by the club, level of GVR community membership support for the project, or something other?
I'll start with the something other. As of January 22nd, 2025, the board elected to add the capital improvement project assessment to the corporate procedure manual as a tool that any club member or club will fill out and submit if they would like to have their project approved for capital funding. This is a objective process that is evaluated based on specific criteria by the administration of GVR. And if it passes that criteria, it is reviewed by the board. So that is one aspect of it. There are several other factors. What is the longevity of the club? Does it have potential for growth? What is its track record? Some clubs, their members contribute money. Some clubs come to the board and say, we have $1,000 and we want to do this project. Some clubs come to the board and say, we have $50,000 and we want to do this project. So it should not solely be based on that, but that is a contributing factor. What have the participation levels of this organization or club been? Has it been consistent? Has it grown? How would GVR contributing to this support the general membership, its health, its wellness, its fitness? Above all, the process should be fair and transparent, and the board and the administration should assure that no request is giving in any special consideration. It should be fair. Thank you.
Thank you. Dale, and this is one of my more favorite questions for reasons I won't get into. If GVR were on the cover of your favorite magazine in 5 years, what would the story be about?
All right. Well, first of all, Tony, you don't have to worry. I didn't pick any of the bad ones, so we're okay there.
I said your favorite magazine.
I know, but I stayed away. Okay. So at first, since I'm a sports nut, I thought about Sports Illustrated. GVR would be getting rave reviews about all the great facilities and activities and the wonderful competitions that we have for our members. That's such an amazing value. But then I realized, there's a whole lot of things in GVR that aren't related to sports. I don't understand why, but they are. So my second thought was we should be on the cover of Time magazine in 2030 as the most outstanding recreational and social organization in the country. Due to our amazing facilities, our innovative fundraising, to be able to pay for all of those amazing facilities and to do everything we can to heighten the quality of life for all 23,000 of our GVR members. And by the way, we got to have a mascot. We can't do this without a mascot. So there's going to be a big competition coming here one of these days. You'll see a survey, and we want to come up with some great ideas. So we have that mascot to be right on the cover with some of our members touting GVR.
Thank you. So is this mascot going to have a costume, and who's going to be inside of it?
He's got to be something really special if we're on Time magazine.
Yeah.
I mean, costumes.
In July, out in the parking lot when it's 115, and he's
he'll
in a
have
costume.
TV, or he'll have something. It's going to be a big deal.
Okay. That concludes the round of questions which the candidates have had the opportunity to see in advance. The following questions the candidates will be asked. They will again have 2 minutes. They have not seen these questions. I will repeat the question twice, however, and I didn't do that last week, and I thought that probably was an omission on my part. It'll do two things. Number one, you'll be able to hear the question and understand it, and number two, it'll give you a second to gather your thoughts. No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you. Beth. I'll say the question twice. If you became a board member, how will you respond to your neighbors who may have operational concerns or complaints about the GVR organization? Again, if you became a board member, how will you respond to your neighbors who may have operational concerns or complaints about the GVR organization?
Well, to be honest, I'm having a little bit of difficulty thinking about what those complaints might be in terms of the organization of it. I guess the major my major thought about that is some people don't like the fact that once they stop using the GVR facilities for reasons for not being capable to do a lot of physical activity or just becoming less interested, that people are unhappy about paying the dues every year. I think that's probably the main organizational issue that I hear. And I believe that really the only answer to that is when you came here, you understood what the deal was. And the other part of that is the reason we have such low dues is because we all pay. And if we each had to just pay by the usage, we would each be, those of us who enjoy doing that would be paying a lot more. So I think that the only real answer is hopefully you understood when you came that this was the deal. And we all get to contribute, and we all continue to contribute. And it's like public schools in a way. I mean, most of us don't have kids in public schools, but most of us are still paying some degree of taxes to support the kids who are in public schools. And it's sort of basically for the general good and welfare of the community at large. We see it as a larger perspective and not just as our individual, what we individually need or want at the moment. So that's how I would answer that.
Thank you. Jody, this question is for you. How would you describe the GVR organization to a person who has never heard of GVR? Again, how would you describe the GVR organization to a person who has never heard of GVR?
One hell of a deal. It's the best, to me, it's the best deal that we could have. I think it's the best kept secret in Southwest or South Arizona. Everybody I know talks about Phoenix. You can come down here. There's hardly any traffic except when the snowbirds are here. You have how many, you know, I'm one too. I explain how many pools we have, how many fitness centers we have. The cost is so reasonable. A lot of people are very surprised that it's such a good deal. And that's what attracts the people that we have in our community. We do have some of those higher elite white collar workers, but we also have the blue collar workers too. And that's what's so attractive, that it is such a great deal for them to come down and they're able to handle that just on Social Security or Medicare, or not Medicare, Social Security. They're able to pay the dues and keep it going. But having the facilities and all the clubs, I just recently sent our club, the book, the fall winter book, back home to a couple of friends so they could see what we offer down here. And they were shocked at how large and how many activities that we have for the members that come here. And it's just amazing to get that kind of response from them.
Thank you. Dale, this question is for you. In your opinion, what is one of the most important issues facing GVR today? Again, in your opinion, what is one of the most important issues facing GVR today?
Well, there's a number of issues, one of which is the 2024 budget was difficult to balance because home sales plummeted. We had had a couple of excellent years and we had kind of planned for that to continue, and it didn't. So our CFO and our CEO and the comptroller and the rest of the staff worked with the Financial Affairs Committee and the board. And we took very prudent, careful management of our finances. We cut expenses where possible while still meeting the needs of GVR and making sure that our facilities were taken care of. We've spent over $5.6 million in the last 5 years upgrading and adding facilities. We have another 2.3 million in reserve for this year to go for the repair and upkeep of facilities again. We're trying to give as much of everything to everybody as we can and not break the bank. So it's hard. I know we got 23,000 people that all want things done differently, but it's the first year in a number of years that the finance, fiscal affairs and the board both unanimously approved the budget.
Thank you. April, this question is for you. It's a two-part question. What are your suggestions in getting more GVR members to vote and also in getting more members to participate in electronic surveys? Again, the question is, what are your suggestions in getting more GVR members to vote and also in getting more GVR members to participate in electronic surveys?
Well, I think that having forums like this is a great opportunity for people to come out and meet the candidates, ask them questions. The wine and cheese doesn't hurt. The way that this election is run, honestly, I think is really good. The fact that I walk down the street and everybody know when I'm asking about the election, everyone knows about it. So I think there are probably some opportunities. They might involve things like, if you vote, you get to put your name in a raffle or something like that. But I think it's just more about inviting people to forums like this, making sure that the e-blasts and the newsletters and those kinds of things have information about the election, as well as giving people help if they need it. Some people just don't use a computer and can't vote on a computer. So I know that the GVR has set up some help for them. So I think that is a really great way to get people to vote. As far as participating in surveys, I think a way to get them to participate is to invite their input and then make sure that the information that is gleaned from the surveys is disseminated amongst the members and that there are actionable items that are shared with the members. So I think if you're going to ask people to do a survey or participate in a focus group or something like that, that there needs to be action and it needs to be shared with the members. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Steve, this question reads a little longer, so bear with me. Looking back on the actions of the board 3 years from now, if you are elected in your term as director, what do you see as your board's legacy? In other words, what do you want the board on which you have served for 3 years to be known for? Let me repeat it. Looking back on the actions of a board 3 years from now, if you are elected as a term, and this is as a director, what do you see your board's legacy? In other words, what do you want the board on which you have served for in 3 years to be known for?
All right, this is a great question for a prospective candidate. Because it asks what your goals are as a board member. And my goals are obviously financially related because that's who I am. I know that GVR has challenges because of its declining home sales and increasing costs. All right. I want to develop a philanthropic revenue stream, all right, from our members who can give more to help those members that can't give anymore. All right. I'd like to develop this contribution so that it could be specifically used for a special capital investment or a facility. All right. I don't know what this will take a lot of research. It'll be working with the GVR Foundation. It'll be a new program that we want to develop and that'll be our legacy as a new board. And I feel committed to that. And I feel committed to any other revenue streams that will help our 24,000 members. This is a very unique retirement community. I don't think there's another one like this in the United States. For all we get at these prices, it's really unheard of. And the quality is so desirable. So I think we need to market Green Valley. We've never marketed it before. We're a tight-knit, family and friendly community. People hear about Green Valley by word of mouth. All right. I found Green Valley because of COVID, and I wanted outdoor recreation. I wanted hiking. This is the place for all those activities. And I know that when I told my neighbors in Colorado about Green Valley, they had never heard of it. So there's so much upside and potential that we haven't even addressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Lanny, the last secret question. Do you want it?
Let's go for it.
You're getting it.
All right.
As a director, what is the one thing you could do to improve the board's image with its members? Let me ask it again.
Well,
As a director, what is the one thing you could do to improve the board's image with its members?
haircuts?
You said you wanted it.
Haircuts? Oh, sorry, it doesn't work for us.
Because a couple of your challenge.
You know, that is a good question because a couple of years ago, when I decided to join the Fiscal Affairs Committee, I'll be honest, I was asked if I'd be interested in presenting my name to be a board member, and I said no. And the reason why I said no was just because of that, the image that the board, rightly or wrongly, whatever, had publicly. And I'm a pretty governance-driven person. And so for me, it looked like a real uphill battle to be a part, to consider being part of the board 3 or 4 years ago. But I can tell you that over the last 3 years, the improvement that I've seen in the board and how they act and how they interact with each other, and the commitment that I see from the board towards the membership, towards management, is night and day. So I want to, and so I decided this year I want to be part of that team that is working extremely hard to improve the image of the board and to continue the good work that they are doing on behalf of the membership. And that's why I decided that I wanted to be part of the board. And I hope that all of you this evening will consider that when you're voting. Thank you.
Thank you. So that concludes the easy questions. And I think they did an outstanding job in responding to them. I really do. So the next questions don't come from me, and so they're tough. They will come from you, the audience. Yeah, I get this part. Yeah. You'd like to forget about this part. What I would ask you to do if you have a question in some sort of orderly fashion, come up to the microphone, give your name, your GVR number, ask a question that hopefully can be targeted to all of them. Don't ask a specific question. This is not an opportunity to complain about GVR. This is an opportunity to get some input from the candidates about something that's broad-based as how it's going to improve, why they can best serve the board. We'll try to take as many questions as we can. We had a smaller group last week and we took all the questions. Hopefully we'll be able to do that also. After that, we will conclude with closing statements. Who's brave and going to step up first?
I'm Barbara Blake, and I don't know my number, and I didn't wear my
What's your
tag.
address, Barbara?
848 West Desert Hills Drive.
Thank you. That will suffice.
And I'm sorry, I forgot my name tag. I do have another name tag here. I just would like anybody to answer something we didn't talk about, and that may go to Lanny, MAP program. And I would just like everybody here in the audience know what MAP is.
So we're
Do
going to
you
give
know
all
what
the
MAP is?
candidates to ask their quick response. So make your responses quick because it's good. I don't want to run out of time or questions. So Lanny, she specifically mentioned your name. Please address that first.
MAP program is a program that we have for members who require assistance, financial assistance for fees.
Okay. Jody? No?
That he did it in a nutshell. I believe we need to provide a little bit more help because it's only a 30-day window. I know members in my community are having trouble financially. I haven't had the time to go around and ask why they haven't applied, and I will do that even if I get voted or not on the board, because anything that I can do to help those of my neighbors in my community to get this financial assistance, because we have several of them in Casaploma 2 and 1 that are struggling even with the $15 increase to make ends meet. So I was going to go around and start asking what is it that they need in order to fill out the paperwork to get assistance.
Thank you. Steve?
I just wanted to thank Eric for his work with the foundation, which works on the membership assistance program. And they're undergoing a big drive with their bingo this season, which I think has been very successful. Thank you, Eric.
Dale?
Yeah, then they face with the panel, they face the tough situation of how much money do we have? How many requests do we have? And then deciding who does and who doesn't. Hopefully, in most cases, there's enough money to take care of everybody's applications, but you know, that's a tough thing to have to handle.
April?
The membership assistance program is a wonderful program, and I don't think that a lot of people know about it, to be honest with you. So I think GVR could do a better job of letting people know that there is help out there. I work with my HOA to collect the dues for the HOA, and I see what is written on the incoming dues statements. You know, that $14 dues increase really got me where it counts. And I think it would be helpful if people knew about this program.
Beth?
Yeah, the program is sponsored by the GVR Foundation, which does a wonderful job and is a 501c3, so contributions can be made tax deductible. And it's been a great help with the members who find it difficult to make the dues. And it would be good if it got more widely known.
Thank you. I feel very strongly about the GVR Foundation. So if you don't know about it, find out more about it. Who's got the next question?
My name's Steve Alt, and number 10992. Been here since 2003. Number one, thank all of you that are on committees and on the board. I appreciate your efforts. I do have one criticism, and it's really a suggestion. As a member, I understand the governance, the Carver governance, and maybe you don't want your name attached to a nay or a yay, but it'd be nice to know maybe 6-4. So we had an idea as to, was this a slam dunk? Because that's the way it comes across. Okay. So if you had so we knew as members, well, this was a little questionable, but it did pass. Do you follow me? And Mr. Howard, I had never thought about using GVR for daycare. I've been married 56 years. My problem is, who cleans the house and takes care of stuff? Are you stuck with that? Yeah. I'm not sure I'm too happy about that.
Okay. Does any panel members want to respond to that? Going once, going twice, thrice. Go ahead.
Well, if you go out to the board meeting minutes, every vote is recorded, and every member who votes in the minority is listed by name. So you can look at any vote taken from, I don't know how far back it goes, but you can look at the minutes and all the yays and nays will be identified.
Thank you. Next question. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I was just going to add that all of the board members or the board meetings are recorded on Zoom, and you can actually listen to the discussion and hear the voting process. If it's not an executive session, of course. So I think it's really good that if you're interested, knowing that you can, one, attend the board meetings, and two, that you can watch them on Zoom, excluding the executive sessions.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else want to respond specifically to that? Okay. Do we have another question from the audience? I know her name is Judy.
Hi, Judy Argetsinger, 207005. I know that GVR has made some strides in trying to do recycling, but we are all members of this planet Earth, and a lot of the corporations or the bigger places like GVR could do more than the individuals. And so what are you planning to do within the next 3 years to make recycling a priority in Green Valley?
Anybody want to tackle that?
I guess my question would be, do you have something specific where we're not recycling? Because I do see we have some recycling bins around. I don't know that we, and this could be ignorance on my part.
Okay, I volunteered in the food park today.
Okay.
The lids on all these containers are a resin number 1, very recyclable. The little cups that were for the wine would be recyclable, but they've got a top amenity to it. It's something that's not recyclable because of that platinum or whatever thing on the
Right.
top.
Okay.
So, there's so many things that can be recyclable. Aluminum is recyclable innumerable times. Glass is recyclable. Any of the glass, containers, if you buy food things in or whatever. Cardboard, of course, paper.
Right.
So the first thing to do is to not use so much, try to do so much, which I think you maybe did. On each table, there was 2 items, 2 sheets with the information. So there wasn't one like for every person, which is good. They can find it online. And then reuse, things that we can reuse. And I think we can all do that.
Okay, sure. Okay, then I
And
guess
then
my
recycle.
comment would be, if I got elected or whatever, I would look into it and see where we can improve, on what you just mentioned. Check it out and see what we're doing. I do see that we have recycled containers, and there are probably some onesies and twosies that would be nice to recycle as well.
Beth?
I think it's an excellent question. Thank you for asking. And I do think it's an issue that we have not paid enough attention to. I'm a little concerned always about the plastic bottled water that is out there all the time. I know it's the desert, and I know people need to hydrate. And finding good solutions to plastic bottles is difficult. But I do appreciate your input, and I would really like if you wanted to contact the board and talk about it more specifically. I know the board has done the GVR has done a great thing in terms of solar with the panels on the on all our parking lots. I think that was an excellent thing to do, and there's a lot of room for improvement. I agree, and I really think we could use all the help we can get to make up some plans and pursue them. And so I would love to talk to you further. Thank you.
Steve?
To me, this sounds like it would be a potential for a new policy so that GVR would be consistent across the board with its recycling efforts. That's what I would suggest that the board could work on.
Anybody else want to comment on it? Okay. Next question from the audience. Eric.
Since you called me out. Okay. Eric Solwald, 235-899. Steve, you're correct in the MAP program, but let me give you some other numbers that you might not be aware of. A year ago, they had 102 people applied for MAP and were authorized that gift. It's over 150 this year. Now, I recognize that some of us have hit some financial roadblocks, rough spots in the road. Keep in mind that at 150 people times the dues, what that adds up to. The foundation tomorrow at the board meeting will be providing you with a check for $25,000 in support of MAP. But you need more than that. One of the things that the foundation has taken on is the program bingo. We've had a lot of fun with it. We've learned some lessons with it, but that is right now our moneymaker for going to MAP. And you out here are all invited to enjoy a bingo game here. But in reality, when you're sitting on the board or the FAC Fiscal Affairs Committee, you need to start looking at the finances and how you can structure it in a way that will be both supportive to the members that currently are capable and for those members that are hitting that rough road. I'll leave that to you.
Thank you. Bingo here, first and third Monday of every month, folks. Come May or June, it goes to one Monday, but B17. Anybody want to respond to that? I know we've talked a little bit about it already. Okay.
Actually, I do real quick. I'm
Oh,
actually
sorry.
surprised that it's only 150. And I think if getting a little bit more awareness, I think we got a lot more greater need. And that's something we got to do. We have to be better. When you know different, you got to be better.
Any other questions from the audience? Mary Beth.
My name is Mary Beth Kwasneski. My number is 260189. My measurements are, oh, that doesn't matter. Okay, sorry. Those numbers were too big anyway. So I also would like to extend a thank you from the community to those of you that are willing to give your time and your support and keep GVR a very successful entity and a great opportunity for those of us that live in the community to enjoy the facilities, et cetera. So two things that come to my mind. One thing is, as just a regular member of Green Valley, the one thing I hear a lot about is the disparity between the board and GVR, the staff, the conflicts. And I see staff people that will sometimes move away if they see a board member coming. I don't. I like walking up to Beth at the bake shop or Steve at pickleball, or I'm sorry, I haven't seen the other four of you, but that's really important to me just as a person to have contact and to see what you react like and how you interact with the people of our community. So I would like to see less separation between the board and the GVR staff from Scott all the way down. And that is really important to me. The second part was I completely forgot my second thing. And and I'm officially Green Valley. No, I know it was important. I just give me 1 second. Yeah, give me a second. I don't
I'll
think
give you a
it's coming.
chance to come back up.
But right. Anyway, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's all.
So I have a question for you. You say me, this is me, Jody here.
Yes, I
You say the disparity. Is it that they're afraid to talk to the board members, or is it that there's been a little bit of conflict? I'm not aware, because I know when I go down to East Center and get my butt on the bike and she's cleaning, I'm talking to her the whole time, even though I'm not a director, but what is it that you see the interaction?
So if I'm at one of the facilities, or if I'm talking to an RSA or somebody, it is very clear that there's a lot of intimidation from the GVR board, the current board. So let me be clear. And it's not everybody on the board. There are some people that are very hands-on. Nellie Johnson's behind me, Candy English. I know them. You know why I know them? Because they talk to me when I walk around. They'll say hello. They'll interact. But unfortunately, I still think there's a gap. And I'm a little outgoing, not very much. Just just a little. So I'm not intimidated. I could sit and talk to any of you, but there are people that are less willing to go forward. Okay. So I think that it's hard for them to understand why certain decisions come down the pipeline, right? And not hearing those.
So again, I'm a little confused. Is it the staff interacting with the board, or is it the members interacting with the board?
Well, what I recognize is that there is some conflict between the board and the staff. But it rolls down to members. It definitely rolls down to members. Again? Oh, you're going to respond.
My sense of the board, to some degree, and it's gotten much better, is that there are some board members who feel that part of their job is to be directing staff or be evaluating staff. And I personally think that that's an overreach for a board member. I believe our job, again, is policy, and that if there's some issues that we want to convey, we should take them up with Scott and let it trickle down to the staff member if there's an issue. But I don't think it is our job to have a negative interaction with any of the staff. And I'm sorry that it happens, but I do know it has happened, and sometimes board members feel like they have the right to tell some staff how to do their job. And in fact, I don't think that is our purpose as a board.
April, it looked like you wanted to respond.
Beth said what I was going to say.
Okay. Lanny?
Thanks for your comment. And I think, as I said earlier, 3 or 4 years ago, I did see that. And that was one of the overriding reasons why 3 or 4 years ago I wasn't interested in joining the board. Whereas today I am, because I've seen a tremendous improvement in the behavior of board members and their interactions with staff. And I think a lot of that, to what Beth was saying earlier, is the focus on policy and on governance. As a board member, you know, we're here to set clear, defining policies and goals. You have to leave the how-to to management, and that includes supervision of management or supervision of employees and so on and so forth. That's not my job. That's not my role. My role is from a membership perspective and ensuring that we're working on a strategic plan that's moving us forward. But good observation from the past, I believe.
Dale?
Yeah, Thursday night's a good example. We had the president of the bocce ball club in and asked a question of us to come out and look at the bocce ball facilities. So Jody and I both on Monday morning went out and looked at them, and there are some issues. There's some repairs that need to be made. So I followed up with, I just sent a question to the GVR hotline email box, and it has been referred to the to Jody, who is the liaison with the clubs, to see, A, has the club done what they're supposed to do and submitted a maintenance request to the facility staff? And if so, I just asked the question, where are they in the pecking order of being repaired? I'm in no way, as a board member, I can't dictate to them. I can't tell them what they should do. That's all facilities. And the only facilities or the only staff person we can talk to is Scott. Anything beyond that is his purview, and we keep hands off.
We're going to move on. I would say one thing though. Mary Beth is not your typical GVR member. She would walk up to a javelina who was holding hands with a coyote and beat them off with a live rattlesnake. Members on occasion are intimidated by board members. So I would say to the board members in attendance and to the board members to be, you need to remember who you're working for and be open and available to them. And, you know, they are a member just the same as you. Any more questions from the audience? I don't know the name of the man in the green shirt.
My name's Tom Kimball, and my number is 255-844. I'd like to ask kind of a tough question to you and see what your response is. GVR owns a lot of facilities, and I'm sure you're aware of that. And many of them are getting older. And pools, for example, are very expensive to operate. And the older they get, the more expensive they become. Let's say that the turnover of real estate stays as it is. Finances are difficult. A pool goes down. What do you intend to do?
Pools, who would have thought that would have been an issue? April.
GVR has established a fund. It's MRRA2, and it is specifically directed at pools. It is separate from the maintenance and repair for other aspects of GVR. There is a schedule of the ages of all of the pools and about what their expected life is. And there's money going into this MRRA B fund in planning, systematically planning to replace these pools as they age out. So there is a plan in place for this. Thank you.
Dale.
Yeah, in 2021, when the East Pool failed, everybody realized, oops, we don't have a specific pot of money for pools. So an MRRB fund was created, and every year we are making a financial commitment to increasing that pool to meet our levels. And we have the MRRA fund, which is the repair and replace for all the other facilities. And there's about $8.5 million in that fund. We have a Browning study done every year that evaluates all of our facilities and determines how much we should have in reserve for those. And our staff does an evaluation on the pools. Right now, the MRRB pool fund is low. We've recognized that. We're making every attempt to build it up to where it's at the same level as the MRRA, but there are sufficient funds in the reserve funds that we can deal with pretty much anything that happens.
And just to mention further, Browning is the firm that we contract with to do our reserve study, and we have for a number of years. Steve.
We had the 13 pools inspected recently, of which one is not graded as good. That's the Desert Hills pool because of the pipe leaks. And we believe that it can be repaired for a affordable amount and not needing the full replacement of 1.6 million. The MR&RB is the pools and spas fund. It has a balance of 1.5 million. We're contributing 300,000 plus 7% every year. So we expect to be adequately funded. I think it's in 7 years, 5 or 7 years with that 7% increase. As long as we don't have more than one pool go down, we'll be good. And if that were to happen, we do have the MR&RA, which is the brick and mortar reserve that we could borrow from in the short term. So yes, this is probably our largest financial weakness in GVR, but it's being addressed. Thanks.
Anybody else want to take a dip in the pool? Wise folks. Are there any more candidate questions from the audience? And while you're walking up here, I want to say we do have food and wine. Please walk up. I just want to make a quick announcement. We have food and wine left. Please partake, mingle. Candidates will be available. And in the spirit of moving the recycling question along, Judy, who asked the question, is going to be taking the silverware, plasticware home to recycle. Thank you, Judy. Go ahead.
Mari Nelson, my number is 103982.
You want to tilt that a little?
Pull the mic down.
There you go. Thank you.
Are we good?
You're good.
That's good. Do you want me to repeat that?
No.
No. Okay. My question is about snowbirds. Are you all snowbirds? And if you're not, do the snowbirds feel there is a limitation because you are absent at some point and you will not be here for the membership?
I'll take that.
I'm going to, what we'll do is I want everybody to answer this question. I'm going to walk right down the line. Beth?
Yes, I am not here in the summer. I have been on Zoom for every meeting that we've had, and some of the committees don't meet that often in the summer. And so there's a little less activity generally for the board to deal with. So I feel like I can participate and get all the information that's sent by email and read up on it. It may be, so I don't think that it's really a disadvantage to any great extent not to be here in the summer.
April?
I am a year-round resident of Green Valley, and nothing against snowbirds, but I feel that I can be a more valuable member to this board, being boots on the ground, ear to the ground, that people who are gone for 3, 4, 5 months out of the year might not have. So I'm a year-round person. Thank you.
Dale?
I'm going to have a cell phone, an email, personal email address, a GVR email address. I Zoom. In fact, there are several meetings when I've been the only person sitting in the audience out here. So you could watch it on Zoom and do exactly what I'm doing. You know, it's nothing, there's no big magic secret about sitting here in the room. We all participate. I watch board members do it on every meeting on Zoom, and it works just fine.
So you're not a snowbird, I take it?
I am a snowbird.
You are? Okay.
Yes.
I just, Steve?
Yes, I am a snowbird. And yes, we are electronically connected in GVR. I've Zoomed on fiscal affairs for 4 years, and Beth is correct. There are many of the members that are not in town, but are on the meetings in Zoom. And I think we're very successful running the programs like that. So I don't feel like I'm at any disadvantage for not being here during the summer. And I think it works quite well. Thank you.
Lanny?
I'm a Canadian snowbird.
Hey.
And that means I'm only here 6 months of the year. I don't see any disadvantage whatsoever. Like Steve, I've been on fiscal affairs for the last 4 years, have participated through Zoom, have participated in board meetings through Zoom. I don't feel disconnected in any way, shape, or form.
I too am a snowbird. I am vice president of my Casa Paloma 2 HOA association. I did streets covering 2 years ago. On that, I did fly back 3 times in the summer to coordinate that with all our members and be here additionally for 2 weeks. If it's something comes up that it's important that I feel like I need to be here, I have the capability of flying back and have no problems doing that. But as I agree with the rest of these, electronically attending meetings and getting the documents, I don't feel we're at disadvantage at all.
Any other questions from the audience? Going once, going twice. Mary Beth, did you think of your other question? Oh, all right. Okay, we will conclude. You can, if you do think of a question, the candidates are going to stick around for a while. They will be here for the board meeting tomorrow. So what we're going to do now is going to take closing statements, or in the law provision, closing arguments as they may have it. And they have 2 minutes each to wrap up. So we will start with Dale Howard.
Well, again, thank you everybody for coming tonight. I have one more thing from my bio to add. For over 30 years, I officiated high school sports. So I do have quite a bit of experience with conflict resolution. So I want to tell you, if you think sitting in a board meeting with 11 other people's fun, wait till you're in a basketball gymnasium or a football stadium and you've got several thousand people who question your every wisdom and why you're there and what are you doing. So yeah, I'm very good at conflict resolution. I learned a lot doing that. It was a real pleasure. One thing that I want to bring up, it has nothing to do with me as a candidate, but the second committee that I'm on besides fiscal affairs is the investment committee. And it meets once a quarter, and its sole purpose is to monitor all the funds that GVR has invested. Money from our reserve funds, our initiatives fund, our cash balances, so that we earn the maximum amount of money that we can for GVR. The first one of those investment meetings I went to, I was staggered by the amount of information that's free of charge to every one of our members. I learned things about finances that I had no idea, and the two guys that do the presentations are absolutely amazing. So I strongly recommend that anybody that cares about your money and is interested in investing, and Eric can tell you the same thing, we get so much bang for our buck, and it's available to everybody. It's not just centered for GVR and the investment committee. It's for everybody. Please watch the videos, attend the, watch the Zoom meetings. It's an amazing tool. Thank you.
Steve.
I also want to thank you for coming tonight. Big thank you to the N&E committee for organizing the forum, Nancy Moyo for all her work in making this possible. I want to close by emphasizing that this campaign is all about the members, the board, us candidates, our staff, the entire GVR organization. We all need to work together in harmony for the benefit of our membership. We have 6 qualified candidates who all bring a unique talent to the table. Each in their own way have helped me with my own campaign focusing on GVR. I wish there were 6 open positions. Beth, I think you are the heartfelt candidate who reminds me how GVR's policies enhance the quality of our members' lives. April, I think you are the voice candidate who reminds me that we are the voice for our members. Dale, I think you are the commitment candidate who reminds me of the commitment needed to serve our members. Lanny, I think you are the big picture candidate who reminds me to stay on task and think of GVR's vision for its members. Jody, I think you are the curious candidate who reminds me to understand our policies to best provide excellent facilities and services for our members. If elected, I'd like to help set a higher bar for the board's expectations for what GVR can accomplish in its new 5-year strategic plan. Number 1 priority will be developing new revenue streams to replace our declining home sales and increasing costs. I'm hoping this will be an opportunity to bring the membership together so there's more harmony. I know this will not be easy, but could be monumental to enhancing the quality of our lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Beth.
I think we have a great slate of candidates, and I know we will all be dedicated and conscientious board members if elected. So why elect me? I have watched the board over the last 3 years, and I understand what it makes for the smooth running, what it takes for the smooth running of the organization. And I know my lane. I am not a manager. Our CEO is the manager, and he's doing a terrific job. I am participating with 10 other directors to define our direction and choose our projects, considering the needs and wants of our members and the constraints of our budget. I am good at focusing on the task at hand, and as chair of the Nominations and Elections Committee for 2 years, I was an efficient and effective leader. I am an independent thinker and have tried to resist any of the factionalism that has occurred on occasion. I am supportive of creating and enlarging facilities as long as the budget allows. I get along well with the CEO and staff, and I believe they do appreciate my support. I think we are all so lucky to be part of this amazing organization, and I would like the opportunity to help keep it providing excellent facilities and services which enhance the quality of all of our members. Thank you.
Thank you. Jody.
Thank you all. As I collect my thoughts, it's just all over the floor. I want to be the candidate that's approachable. I might have an RBI face. However, I am very approachable. Please come approach me. And even if I don't make it on the board, if you have something you want to complain about, bitch about, that's okay. We all have troubles. And it only takes a little bit to be kind. I like to remember that we are a customer service organization. It's not just about the clubs. It's not just about getting new assets, new buildings, new courts. We have to remember those members that are not at the level, can't afford what we're doing, and we need to take that into consideration with every decision we make financially. I'm not against growth. It just needs to be done in a financial responsible manner. And I'd like to see greater input, as Lanny and Steve has said, on the MAP program. There's such a tremendous need out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Jody. Lanny.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you to my colleagues here on at the forum. Thank you to all of you for joining us this evening. Got a hard choice, don't you? And there's a lot of great people up here. And isn't GV, we're fortunate. Each and every one of these folks up here are here because we're all member focused. And I think that's the one thing that you can be guaranteed of. Whoever you vote for, you know that you're going to be voting for a person who is focused on you, the members. And I think that's critical because we're about to go into a period of time that is, we're going to be hitting some headwinds. We have high interest rates. They seem to be remain stubbornly high. I think the gentleman in the green over there pointed out the obvious, that the home sales are not what they used to be. They're certainly not at the speed that we saw over the last few years. So we've got some financial headwinds that we're about to encounter, and continue to encounter. But what you have here are a number of people who are willing to work on your behalf to ensure that GVR continues to meet its mission and its vision statement. And the mission statement is to continue to enhance the quality of our members' lives. I'm certainly committed to that, and that's why I chose Green Valley. I also chose Green Valley because it's a friendly, vibrant community. Where else can you go as a snowbird and tell your friends that you're leaving the November 1st to go to summer camp? Please vote. Thank you.
Thank you. April, take us home.
First, I'd like to thank you all for coming this evening. I've had a really great time with this group of people, learning together, preparing together. I can't say what a great bonding experience this has been. I wish we could all be on the board together. I've spent the last year or so preparing for a position on this board of directors. I've attended many board meetings, many financial affairs committee meetings and investment committee meetings, and I have a stack of paperwork at home about this tall, which is meeting books and agendas and budgets, and I've really done the work to understand the structure of this organization, the corporate procedure manual, the strategic plan, the budget, how the organizational structure works. I really have worked hard to make sure that I felt that I knew enough to throw my hat in the ring here. And I feel like I'm prepared to do this. I have worked and overseen several boards, so I know how boards work. I know how to work as a collaborative member of a board, and I understand the importance of governance and collaboration on a board. During my career in healthcare administration, I also provided consultative services to medical groups, and I have a special talent for utilization management and operational process improvement. I believe that my broad administrative background will be a great value to this board. I will work to connect with members and represent their voices to this board. I am proud that you would consider me as a board member here, and I thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you. You, the members of GVR, are fortunate, in my opinion, that you have 6 people who are eminently qualified, more so than I can say that I can say this is legitimate, that I've seen in a number of years. There are choices to make here. There are no bad choices. Keep in mind also that on a yearly basis it is almost the norm that there is a vacancy that occurs on the board. So there's going to be 3 people coming on the board. After that happens, during the course of a year, if a vacancy occurs, the next person up is offered to fill that role. So indeed, more than one of these individuals is quite likely to be on the board in addition to the 3 who are elected. I want to thank every one of them, not only for being here tonight, but for putting forward the effort that they have put forward in preparing for tonight, in putting forward the effort to be a director over the next 3 years. I'd like to give them a round of applause. I thank you all for coming, and I won't say like in Chicago, vote often, vote once. Remind your neighbors to vote, please. Thank you. There are refreshments.